Welcome everyone to our March meeting held in the new Bingara Council Chambers. So it's a bit exciting, our first meeting in here. I'm calling for apologies. I have one from Councillor Mick Collins. Any others? And we'd also like to welcome our new councillor, Ravi Gill. Welcome to the team. Can I have confirmation of the minutes? Can I have a mover and a seconder that the minutes from the ordinary council meeting held on the 26th of February 2026 as circulated be taken as read and confirmed? Councillor Sherman and Councillor Crispin, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Call for declarations of interest, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Is there anyone that would like to declare an interest in any of the items on the agenda today? Got any additional late items? Neil? Okay. On page 5, we have the mayoral minute. If everyone's read that, I would like to move the mayoral minute be noted for information. Could I ask for a seconder? Councillor Ishton. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. So we move on to item 7.1 on page 10, the Executive Services Report by Leah Daly. So any questions for Leah? She will take them.
I'd like to point out that the introduction of the ice cream cart at Nauru has been quite a success, and it's brought joy to the residents. So something so simple. And
my mum witnessed it.
oh, did you?
She said that it was just delightful to watch the residents' reaction.
Yes.
Something around and not bring them an ice cream.
Yes, very good.
You charge them like 10 cents or something, or
No, we give it to them free because we're kind.
pennies.
It's beautiful.
I'm happy to answer any questions you've got there. It's really just a standard report of activity throughout the areas of my responsibility directly.
Any questions for Leah? I have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Crump and Councillor Wilmot. Those in favour say aye. Carried. And we move on to item 7.2, Corporate and Community Services Report on page 24. And we have Helen Thomas, our CFO, to answer any questions on this.
As with the previous reports, just our standard report. The most exciting thing will be the transition of moving into this new building over the next month with our Visitor Information Centre, Service New South Wales, Centrelink and Customer Service all being in the same spot, which is very exciting.
Any questions or anyone like to talk about anything in this report?
Younger staff coping with the change.
They've started packing. You'll see on Facebook too, unfortunately, there's works happening at the Roxy as of Monday week. So customer service, if we can't quite get into this building by Monday week, we will temporarily have customer service at the current Vic until we can move into this building. They're doing roof works and we can't have people accessing the front door to get to customer service. So we will temporarily relocate and then permanently relocate to here, hopefully before Easter.
I'm optimistic it could be next week, but I don't want to make promises.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I just like to, yeah, it's always pleasing to read the positive comments of the visitors to town camping down the river. It's sort of, it's nice to read that. And the other thing that, when you have a look at it, with the Northwest Theatre Company productions, it's quite amazing to see how much they've been through at ticketing. So, yeah, which would be good for them, all their hard work. They get a positive result at the end of it. Any more questions for Helen? And could I have a mover and a seconder for that report, councillor Crispin and councillor Coleman. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. So we move on to 7.3, which is the technical services report on page 54. And we have our engineer, Alex Eddy, to take questions here.
I'm happy to take any questions, folks. The water restrictions we had to temporarily introduce in Warrior have been lifted from level 4 back to level 3. So the conditions that have been in place for 12 months or more are back in place, and those extra restrictions disappeared. It really highlights how important the additional bore is. So that was the case of the main bore going down, the Sale Yards bore, and if that problem had lasted any more than a week or so, then we would have been looking at level 5 restrictions, and they're particularly inconvenient. We have conducted the 72-hour pump test on the new bore. We're still waiting for the results from that, but there's no indication at this stage that it won't satisfy the requirements for a production bore. It's probably the most important thing that's happened in the past week. We are closely monitoring the changes in the price of diesel, given that has potential, if it does get outlandish, to change the cost of our operations. We have not had any issue with supply. Prices increased by an amount, but it's not as significant as people are seeing at service stations. So at the moment, it's not a large problem. We are looking forward and planning around that. None of us have crystal balls, so we don't really know what the full impact of the situation will ultimately be. But at the moment, it is business as usual.
You guys keeping like any extra or?
We can only keep what's in our storage tanks, and I don't know the volume off the top of my head, but we're in the region of 20 to 30,000 litres at both depots. So we've been requesting deliveries as frequently as we can. There's obviously a lot of competition for those deliveries. Speaking with the councillor prior to this meeting, saying that the agricultural sector are also wanting to keep their tanks full. We don't have really any capacity for extra storage, but at this stage there doesn't seem to be a need for it either.
Yeah, there's no doubt the demand, people panicking and filling up jerry cans, just it's wreaked havoc with the supply chain. Yes, it's a bit like toilet paper saga and COVID. Hopefully it'll settle down.
Can I ask about the new section between the bypass and Oregon Road?
Yes.
Is it like the ribbon sealing I noticed, is that related to?
The crack sealing was done on sections of that road that have no long-term issues, and that's not an unusual fix to have to do. There are some sections of there, you've obviously driven it, where we have reasonable failures. We did test excavations down to the subgrades, so the naturally occurring soils, to see if the issue was related to the pavement and the reconstruction that our contractors did in last year, or whether it's environmental, caused by environmental conditions. It's looking like it's the latter, but we're still speaking with the contractor to determine whether it's ultimately our responsibility, theirs, or a shared responsibility. But there's no intention to leave those failed sections as they are. They will be repaired. We've just got to use the information from the test excavations and work out who fairly should wear the costs of it.
A bit of cost in that, I imagine.
I'd be guessing if I was to put a dollar figure on at the moment, but my guess would be somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000.
I guess the issue is if it's going to be an ongoing thing, if it's going to keep failing like that.
That's why we did the test excavations right down to the subgrade and did investigation into there, because it might be that we need some treatment of the subgrade to prevent it from becoming a reoccurring failure.
Any questions for Alex?
Alex, I have a question regarding to parks and gardens. Just if we could get an update on the Stephen Street access to the Wayland Town Square.
Certainly. Would you like to take that one, Lee? We received notification from the New South Wales Governor this time last week that the compulsory acquisition for the pathway has been approved. I think the only step left now is for the valuation to be agreed upon and for council to pay the bills, and we'll have the titles. Most of the administrative process, the big hurdles, and that's the approval of the compulsory acquisition and the creation of the titles, or the creation of the actual parcels of land. That's done.
Right.
So it's pretty close to a done deal. Our general manager is very excited about it.
Very.
Yes.
Any more questions for Alex? I saw one of the new bus shelters yesterday. They look big swish.
They are good. Might just, sorry, the risk of taking up too much time in this report. There has been some negative feedback about the location of those bus shelters, particularly in the northern end of the Shire. There was a bus shelter where a school wanted a car park and council has delivered a bus shelter. The funding stream that these were funded under wouldn't allow the creation of car parks. It was for bus stops only and for improvement of busable over areas. We have received a GIPA request, Freedom of Information request, which is extremely detailed, wanting information and the cost and the reasoning behind the bus shelter at North Star was among those. But it's, we saw grant funding, we grabbed it, and it's paid for infrastructure that council wouldn't have otherwise been able to grab at all.
Questions? Could I have a mover and a seconder for that report, please? Councillor Sherman and Councillor Coleman. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, we move on to item 7.4, the business and strategy report on page 63, and we have Justin Hunger to take any questions on that, who's the Director of Business and Strategy.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to talk about in confidential, but otherwise it's a pretty standard report. The admin centre pictures are a little dated now, obviously. I'm just happy to take any questions.
Justin, I had a couple of other questions about whether, like, the earliest we might see any movement for the, I know it's not our development, but the solar farm, in terms of when they're able to start.
They can start whenever they want now, but they haven't given me any indication of when they are planning on it. So I can find out, but I'm not sure.
So it's basically any time from now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Questions for Justin? Okay, the officer's recommendation is that the report be received. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Crispin and Councillor Sherman. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, we move on to item 7.5, which is Council's investment report on page 86. We have Helen Thomas, our CFO, to take questions on that.
Just to a standard monthly report, you'll see our cash did increase with the money coming in from some of our roads projects. And we are sitting quite healthy at the moment. It's pleasing to note that that figure is sitting there and this building has been pretty much paid for out of council's funds. There's only a few payments left to make. The big chunk of this, the cost of this admin building has been paid for. So, and still to be sitting quite healthy. And rates collection is about where it should be. There is an expression of interest out for new debt recovery professionals to take over our debt recovery, which we can discuss further and confidentially if there are any questions.
Helen, you were talking recently about having an online program where people can access their account.
Yep.
Is that still on the cards?
We're still working on that. The new provider that is our print house for rates. You'll be able to go online there when the new next lot of rate notices go out and actually log in and get copies of your rates notices without having to call council up. And then once we get past that process with the website, we'll be looking at getting it as an online payment function to make it easier for customers.
Well, just one question about the debt recovery team and all. I'm just want to know that what's the time frame? Is there a time frame or the amount limit when that will be passed to that debt recovery team?
There is. I can get you our policy of what it is. Generally, it's over $500 for auto before it goes to debt recovery.
Yep.
We do a lot of it in-house,
Yeah.
and then it's only when it gets to a point that it's actually goes to an external provider.
All right, so it's about the amount
Yes.
as well as the time. I thought.
Yeah, we don't, time isn't a big factor because debt recovery does cost the ratepayer. It's the value rather than the time, unless we get to rates and it's unpaid for 5 years.
I got a nice in-house email the other day about one of the rates.
Yeah. They just said nice.
Very good.
Any more questions for Helen? Okay, the officer's recommendation is that the February 2026 monthly investment and rates collection report be received. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Crispin and Councillor Wilmot, those in favour say aye. Carried. Okay, we move on to item 7.6, childcare options with financial implications on page 89. And we have Susie Webber to take questions on this, who's our social services manager.
Happy to take any questions on the report. So this report has come to you because of a request a couple of months ago, just to see what was happening with our children's services and what is projected for the future.
But it seems like it's hard to get staff.
It's incredibly difficult to get staff. If we could get staff, we would be able to
Facilitate.
take places, absolutely. And at the moment, we've got, I think, 6 trainees. So we're trying to grow our own so that we can then use them in our services as soon as they're ready to go, that we can start increasing the number of places that are available. From my perspective, it would be better to increase the number of places that are available rather than the number of days that are available to start with. I guess it was always the intention to do 5 days a week in both towns, and we've started out on a 5-day fortnight turnaround because of staff, but also to gauge the numbers that we have. We have a waiting list in Vingra now of 5 families who are waiting for places on top of the 12 that we're providing. We still have 1 place available in Warialda, so we're not quite there at 12 in Warialda, and there is no waiting list. But I guess, you know, if you have more places available and you have more days available, then there would be more families that would take advantage of that. It comes down to cost and what you guys as a council are prepared to fund, because our grant funding will not cover it. It's something that will cost council money, and not a small amount of money. There is a grant available through the Department of Education at the moment for community preschools to expand into long daycare. And as I sort of spoke about in the report, for Warialda, it would be a fantastic option because they're getting another preschool. It will mean that the current preschool is going to lose significant funding, and I worry for them that they will be able to remain sustainable. Families possibly won't be able to afford to pay for those extra days at the amount that it will actually cost to run that preschool. If they extend it into a long daycare, it means that they go into a completely different funding stream, which is through the federal government called CCS. So families would be able to get a subsidy for the days that they have of care, and the preschool would actually get additional funding through that stream. I don't know why they're so resistant, but I haven't been able to crack that nut. But it would be a fantastic thing. Then there would be 5 days a week long daycare in Warialda. We could then deliver 5 days a week long daycare in Bingra. So I'm hopeful that we may be able to do it. They've just extended the funding in the report. I said that closes on the 13th of April, I think it is, but they've just extended that deadline. So I will speak further to the Warialda preschool and see if we can't maybe encourage them. I don't know. It's always difficult when it comes to childcare, being able to give people what they want as opposed to what we can afford to do. But again, it's up to you guys as a council what you would like to do moving forward as far as funding is concerned. But where we're coming from, it's difficult to do it with the funding that we have.
Why are they starting another preschool? Is that one tied up?
Because the Department of Education wanted to, there was 100 preschools across the state that they announced when Adam Marshall was still in Parliament, and they wanted one in Bingra, they wanted one in Yetman, they wanted one in Warialda.
It's for the transition kids, for the 4 to 5-year-olds.
4 to 5-year-olds, yeah.
So it's not for the 3 to 5.
No, it's just for children in that year before they start school. So Warialda chose to go with that, and
Is that at the school?
it's at school. Yeah, so that will be free. School.
That takes away.
It will take away all of those places, the 4 to 5-year-olds, which is the main funding stream for a preschool, is the 4 to 5-year-olds. They will lose that they get 2 free days. So those children will go to Warialda Primary School for those days, and then they may choose to go to Warialda Preschool for additional days, but they won't be free, and Warialda Preschool will work out how they have to actually cover the cost of that. But they'll still be open for 3 to 5-year-olds. They may take 2-year-olds. They may choose to extend and take 2-year-olds as well, in which case we'll pull our Tharawonga Day, which is a Friday, where we do 2 to 3-year-olds on that Friday, because Warialda Preschool do the 4 to 5-year-olds on that day, and we worked with them to sort of find a happy medium there where we could actually fill a gap. And so we're doing the 2 to 3-year-olds on a Friday. They do the 3 to 5-year-olds. But if they choose to take 2-year-olds, then we'll pull that service and go somewhere else.
It was me that asked for that report. Thank you. But I think it's probably missing a bit of information that I thought might be there. Key financial projections are missing. I'm finding that there's not a lot of information about the childcare subsidy and what kind of income we could generate from that. The community childcare fund projections and opportunities under the expanding quality access program. You sort of briefly mentioned those things, but you don't give a lot of detail about it.
I wasn't sure what you were looking for, Sarah, so I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah.
I just needed that.
No, that's right. Yeah. I'm finding there's also no evidence-based costing. You've got a lot of projections, but you're not telling us where they're coming from.
Yep.
Or what we're benchmarking against, or what rural councils you're benchmarking us against.
Yep.
So some clarity on those figures. The report doesn't list the demand data. You've just outlined it here, but if you could pop it all in to show us the waiting lists,
Sure.
demand, how many families travel between Bingra and Warialda for employment. You sort of touched on a brand new build, but nothing about consolidating what we've already got. So that the expanding quality access program, is that something that Bingra Preschool could take up and incorporate the early child care and the preschool It might not be the same in Warialda because it's obviously owned differently, but if we're talking new build, can we look at the comparison of keeping it in-house on land that we already own and infrastructure that we've already got there and staffing? Yeah, the operating figures, again, there's no supporting detail on how they've been calculated. It says that it's 20 minutes between Bingara and Warialda. I timed it yesterday from Bingara Toy Library to Warialda Toy Library. It's actually 33 minutes. The logistics of travelling between the two towns, it doesn't add up. Logistically, once you drop off children, sign them in, settle them, get back in the car, return to the town you need to work in and do it all again in the afternoon, it just doesn't stack up. So although that report was good, I just don't think that we can really make an informed decision on expanding or moving it forward without knowing a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to get those details for you. I didn't have a lot of time to put that together, so
Yeah.
sorry that it was a bit,
No, that's all right. But yeah, if we can get a little bit more information, I just think I personally have been asking for this to be investigated since we moved here 11 years ago. I'm a little worried that if we just adopt and note that we've received the report in 10 years' time, are we still going to be in the same position where families are singing out for help to be able to go back to work and move here? Yeah.
just so you know, the idea is that we do have eventually 5 days a week in both towns. With 20, we're licensed for 20 children, which I think would be adequate for both our towns. That's what we're working towards when I have staff.
Yeah.
The staff, I can give you all the numbers that you want,
Yeah, well, even
but until I've got staff.
even looking at some of those, because I know that it was once offered for the free training. Is it still available?
No,
No.
I had 2 people finish that training.
How long ago was it offered?
Once, a couple of years ago now.
Yeah. If we can just get a few.
We're offering traineeships every time someone puts their hand up. So it's still there. It's not, it's just not.
Is it widely advertised?
The positions that we have available, absolutely. Yeah, they're widely advertised. Not that we're prepared to pay for everybody. The reason, I guess, for that is that we had 16 people sign up, paid for them, and it was great, and then 2 of them finished. So it wasn't a great investment for us. It was a lot of money to pay. It's $11,000 each cert 3 that we put people through. So to only get 2 people out of that, the investment wasn't there. So we're trying to handpick people and say, hey, we'll give you a traineeship if you're prepared to work in early childhood. And as I said, we've got 6 trainees at the moment, so we're getting there slowly. But I can't make people want to do it. And we have to be careful about the people that we choose. 1, because they're working with our children, which is really important. But 2, it's a big investment for council. So we need to try to make sure they're actually going to stick with it and stick with us.
It's an opportunity though that, growing our population base. So if we can get some ideas of when all of that was offered.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether we look at offering it again, I don't know, but it was, I know it was a while ago. So if we can get a bit of background on how it all happened.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yep.
And certainly talking about increasing our population with skilled workers. And that sort of,
That's not easy.
Yeah.
If we
See it as an opportunity.
had, this is just asking what your thoughts, if we had 5 days in each town, or when we get 5 days in each town, do you think that would be an advantage with a childcare worker that might have young children to be able to have a job? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Saying, well, they could work and they've got young children, so there's somewhere for them for 5 days.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Yeah, for sure.
that's an advantage. So we might attract more childcare workers with a 5-day a week facility.
Possibly.
Yes.
Possibly.
Yeah.
We will
Just,
get a report to you in May, ready for the May council meeting. Susie's away. Sorry, I'm out for most of April. Yeah, But we'll get something to you addressing all the things that you've listed.
Just also with the new program funding that's coming up, that's ending in June, are we better off making an application under that? Just so that we're on the radar? Because if we don't get something
To do that, if that's something that councillor,
just sort of forward thinking, if we don't get something through this year, it sets us back another year before we can do something again. So are we better off looking at doing a capital investment and making an application for funding under that?
I think it's always worth making an application for funding.
At least if we've got it and
Where would you want that to
we
be?
get it.
I think that's probably a discussion that we need to have and guided by you.
Can it be divided between both towns, or you have it? If we get the funding, can we use it across the Shire, or is it to be in?
It would be for a purpose-built long day care centre.
So you can't add on to the daycare centres we've
Yes, you
got.
can.
Yeah, well, that'd be, you wouldn't want to build a brand new, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I don't think you'd want to build a brand new facility. I mean, we've got a beautiful building up here. There's plenty of room to add, even at the front of it, to make that long day care without taking any of the play area at the back, and maybe add on to the toy library in Warialda to make that.
There's a few different things that you can apply under. You can do capital works, operations funding, transition funding, unfunded items and activities. There's a few different streams.
Toy library in Warialda probably wouldn't be an option. The services that we run through Tharrawonga are mobile, which means that we don't have the same, we operate under minister's rules, which means we don't have the same regulations that our Bingle Preschool and Warialda Preschool have as state-run, state-regulated services. So it would have to be, you would have to probably look at Warialda Preschool rather than Toy Library.
Fair enough, if they were agreeable.
Also, the parking at Warialda Toy Library is completely inadequate for a centre.
If they thought it was beneficial, if Warialda Preschool see that it would be a benefit, we could use the money to update.
Council building.
Yeah, well, use it to update those buildings rather than build a whole new facility. Update what we've got to make it.
Yep, I'm happy for you guys to have that discussion, work out what you want, and then I'll apply for whatever you want.
Yep. Sounds good. Any more questions for Susie?
You sit with you, Sarah, and work out exactly what you're looking for, and then I can crunch all that together and
I'll get it through to you.
we'll catch up.
Thanks, Susie, for your time.
No worries.
Thank you. Okay, so the officer's recommendation is that report be noted, but then Susie's going to come back to us in the May meeting with key financial objections, projections, evidence-based costing clarity, demand data, consolidation of what we already have about our trainees, and the new program funding, application for funding, and she'll come back in the May meeting. Could I have a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Wilmot and Councillor Coleman. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Carried. Okay. We'll move around the room and have councillor reports. So we'll start with Councillor Coleman.
It's just everything's, swirling in all the northern villages. Bus shelters included. Just had a couple of road pays about the road past going Warrelloy.
Yes.
So that section of, I'm thinking of Creek, Alex, but it's probably that.
Basements.
Yeah, from there, that's skinny bit through the past the coming east.
Yep.
Yeah. The amount of cattle trucks and grain trucks.
Is the feedback that just the pavement quality is poor, or is that we need shoulder
And it's
widening?
narrow, yes.
That may be possible to complete under this year's budget. I'll speak with our works engineer and I'll come back to you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, councillor Coleman. Councillor Bishton.
I don't know whether it should be this bit or the next bit.
Save it for the if you've got any hesitations, save it for next. Councillor Shannon. Councillor Wilmot.
Save it for content.
Councillor Crispin. I love it. Councillor Gill. Very good. Okay, so we might break for morning tea before we move into our confidential meeting. Yep. So it is recommended that the council resolve into the committee of the whole with the press and public excluded to allow consideration of the listed items as provided for under section 10A to A of the Local Government Act 1993 on the grounds the report contains personal matters concerning particular individuals other than council. NIRW Green Waste Processing Tender 2 response. It is recommended. Sorry. That's it. Hand over to Leah Daly, our General Manager.
Madam Mayor and Council, I have some recommendations from the committee of the whole. First is item number 1.1, confidential organisation community services report. The officer recommendation is that the report be received. 1.2, NIRW Green Waste Processing Tender, 2 tender response. The recommendation was that council accepts a tender submitted by Davis Earth moving for the processing of green waste for an initial 2-year period with the option for 2 12-month extensions subject to satisfactory performance. That was moved and seconded. Just a last item, there was discussion around the future meeting dates, just noting that April meeting will be held the 30th of April. There will be a budget workshop held on the 11th of May at 4 p.m. The May meeting will be held on May 21st, with the June meeting falling on the 18th of June. And there will be an official opening of the Bingra Administration Office on the 15th of May. That's it, I'm confidential.
Thank you, Leah. Being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 4 minutes past 11.